It is reductionist to say that The Last of Us 2 is a simple revenge story. The game is about the effect PTSD can have on people, how trauma can taint our memories and color the lens through which we view the world. It's a story that frames trauma as a mindset, a belief system, an oppressive force that can rob one of their agency and what it might look like to gain that agency back. This will be a breakdown of various moments and storytelling decisions made throughout the game and my theories as to why these choices were made. Before I begin, I do want to mention that there will be spoilers throughout this analysis. The first storytelling choice I want to highlight is the choice to murder Joel. It only makes sense that a game about trauma would begin with a traumatic event. Joel's death could have been a more heroic death, but that would have cheapened the impact of what this story intends. This story intends to put you in the minds of these characters. It wants you to feel every choice Ellie makes, every choice Abby makes, and even all the choices Joel makes. It wants you to think about the moral grays and the implications of the characters' actions. This game is much more than just its sequence of events on the surface. It is a deliberate allegory for what we can and cannot control in our lives, and how sometimes tragedy is inevitable, and how we may or may not be able to cope with that. In Ellie's case, it makes sense that she would react the way she does because she has been living under the influence of Joel for some time, and has led a young life ripe with loss, devastation, desperation, confusion, and suffering. It doesn't make it any better that she never has any say in what happens. She cannot save Riley. She's helpless to save Henry or Sam. She can't save Marlene or the Fireflies. And she can't save the world by being the cure. Finally, she can't save Joel. At this point, Ellie ceases to exist, and all that is left is a bloodthirsty monster eager to cause suffering to whoever she perceives as her enemy. Ellie puts the weight of all of her suffering onto Abby. Abby then becomes the symbol of all of what makes Ellie hate her life, as though she is suffering and trauma personified. From here on out, I want to continue as to why I believe other storytelling decisions were made and how they flesh out the psyche of the characters. I will now be talking about the flashback-heavy structure. It makes sense that a game which focuses on characters suffering from PTSD would choose to portray flashbacks. But since this game is interested in diving fully into the characters, it builds the flashbacks directly into the structure of the narrative. A common complaint is that in Abby's portion of the game, there is an emotional distance from her friends because we already know their fate. For me, this has the opposite effect. For both Abby and Ellie, we see the contrast of happy memories versus the traumatic memories, and it shows us how these memories will now forever intertwine. Ellie may never remember Joel playing her a song without remembering witnessing his murder. Abby may never remember her father without remembering seeing his lifeless corpse. Abby may never remember her love with Owen without conjuring images of his bloody dead body. For these characters, these memories may have been the only semblance of happiness in their lives, and now they are forever lost, forcing these characters to move forward to make new memories. The next storytelling decision I'd like to highlight is the choice to make us play as Abby. If Abby were a conventional villain, then the impact of Ellie's choices would be completely lost. Ellie has to become the bloodthirsty murderer because that's how she hits rock bottom. If Abby were a conventional villain, then this would only work if it were the conventional revenge story many feel the game is trying to be. Because we are made to sympathize with Abby, we see more clearly how much Ellie has lost herself, as though she has left her body and is acting purely on savage emotion. Abby also serves as the flip side to Ellie's character, as Abby represents a character with PTSD who completes her redemption arc, whereas Ellie's redemption arc isn't even hinted at until the end. One of the more controversial elements of the game, for both its fans and its detractors, is the ending, where Ellie spares Abby. Ellie doesn't spare Abby because she suddenly forgives her. It isn't because of a conscious choice to break the cycle of violence. It's because when fighting Abby, she is able to take total control of the situation and bring Abby a thread away from death. This is the first time Ellie finds herself able to make a decision on her own without any interference. Ellie knows Abby isn't really a truly evil murderer. She knows Joel had many enemies and knew that these grievances weren't unwarranted. Ellie also knows on some level that she already got revenge on Abby. Abby took away people Ellie loved, and Ellie took away people Abby loved. Besides that, nothing Ellie can do can match the torture Abby already endured at the hands of the Rattlers. It isn't forgiveness, It is the epiphany of realizing her ability to choose her own outcome, something someone like Ellie would likely value in real life. Much like how Ellie has no say in what happens in her life, the player also has no control over what happens in the game. We cannot save Joel, we can't save Jesse, we can't spare Owen or pregnant Mel, we can't skip killing the dog Alice, and we can't skip playing as Abby. These decisions jolt the character into the mind and soul of these characters, as we are forced to share their suffering. This is a brilliant meditation on the effects trauma can have on people, while also being a beautiful story of recovery. This likely will not be my last video on this game, but I wanted to have this video done in time for Outbreak Day. I want to thank you all for watching or listening to this video. My name is Kale Lacey, and stay tuned for more analysis videos as well as reviews. Thank you.